industry. You know what industry was head and shoulders above any other industry as the industry recognized by Albertans as the potential for innovation? Agriculture. So you're in the right place with the right people. So Ken, you're on. Thank you.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. So again, my name is Ken Gosen. I'm Executive Director of the Food and Bioprocessing Branch with the Government of Alberta. And so it's just a real privilege to be here. And I've been working with the hemp industry for a lot of years. And so it's exciting to see the change that's happening, the growth that's happening, and it's really exciting to work with many of you in terms of the Food Processing Development Center and in the Bioprocessing Innovation Center. And so we can hope to continue to do that. I know the government is very strongly in support. You heard our minister say so, and I know there's a lot of support and a lot of investment continuing to be made in both in staff and in physical infrastructure to support this industry. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be part of this industry. But that's enough about me. I'm excited to be chair of this panel. Food, it's important. We eat it every day. And it is certainly an exciting industry to be a part of. And so I just wanted to introduce our esteemed panel that we have. I'm just going to introduce you in terms of the order that you're going to speak. And then I'll turn it over to them. And then after that, we'll have some questions and answers. So the first person on our panel is Spencer Parenteau. He is Head of Sales and Business Development with Blue Sky Hemp Ventures. Then the next panelist that'll speak, so I apologize for my pronunciation, but you'll have to correct me later. So Skirmantis Nixele, he's the president of Alive Super Nutrition. And then we have Red Shaw, he's the co-founder and board of directors with Alta Green Products.
All right. Hi, everyone. And there should be another presentation which is totally white, black and white. Most of you don't know me. My name is Skirmantas Nikštele. I do have the honor to be here in front of you. Thank you, AHA, for inviting me. Always great to be here. I'm blown away how AHA conference has grown. Been attending conferences in Canada starting, I think, Winnipeg 2014. So I'm young, but I'm an old-timer in terms of coming here. I am here to join a panel discussion. Therefore, my presentation will be very short. Let's start with, who am I? What's about our company? We have been in business for quite some time. We are from Europe. We contract and we farm ourselves quite a lot. Depending on a season, 15 to 20,000 of acres, most of which are certified organic. Some of that is already in Canada, particularly in Alberta, soon to grow a lot. We do own an in-house processing facility that we're very proud of. BRC graded, all the bells and whistles you can imagine. Sadly, which is not enough. I'm very happy to emphasize that part. Used to be, that you got good farmers, as your partners. You have a great facility, and you're done. You're okay. One of the thoughts that I would like to leave, you with is that those days are gone. I'm sorry. I'm here to say something that is not only and totally positive, but this is my experience, and it is real experience. In terms of organic, we are as big as Manitoba Harvest, which is, of course, the leader of this industry. Most of our revenue, surprise, is coming from United States of America, and most of our business is in private label manufacturing, which I guess saved us from bankruptcy because we used to be the ingredient producer. Private label saved us. I bet maybe even in this hall there's someone sitting and already calculating how cheaper, more efficient, and faster they can be in private label manufacturing than we are. So another message that I want you to leave you with is whatever is a status quo is never enough. And in our company, what we are trying to do is we are now emphasizing growth of end consumer products. solutions for consumer in terms of branded goods. And we own a couple brands, one of which is a food brand, another one is a pet food brand. This is where the emphasis is. If we will not develop those, we are done. And I'm not here to raise money, so I'm just sharing my honest experience and honest thoughts. I'm not here to advertise myself. So some concerns, some facts that I would like to, that I think are facts, maybe to you it will be an opinion. Costs to produce hemp, as anyone and as anything else, has been increasing. I think it's fact. At the same time, market price for hulled hemp, hemp seed oil, what hemp seed oil? There's no market for hemp seed oil, basically. And hemp protein has not increased, meaning margins are cooked. There's very little margin in ingredient business. And competition is still coming. I haven't heard of any Chinese hemp dehulling facility shutting down or anything. They are still very active. And in November, I was attending CHTA, and I saw a slide that concerned me a lot. It showed that local production in Canada is shrinking, and hemp seed by HS code imports from third countries is increasing. I'm very curious where that import is coming from, but definitely it's not Canadian goods. So someone is producing stuff and importing it here, maybe for further processing or something, but that takes bread out of Canadian farmers, from those tables. So things are happening, and we should be concerned. So my initial thoughts, maybe provocative. We have to make hemp seeds cheaper. One thought I remember from CHTA conference in November, Jeff Costa, would you be so kind to stand up? Jeff has a great project that maybe, I don't know, Jeff, are you presenting in this conference? Okay, good. Make sure you attend. If we don't do what Jeff is trying to do, we are done. Okay, Hemp Alta started a great, I think, trend on hemp carbon credits. We as a company are now investigating an option to do that plus make activated carbon, which is a product on its own. We think that it can be made from hemp hulls, waste from hemp decortication. We don't know for a fact. We are being told by companies that are now manufacturing these new machines that cost millions of dollars. They say, don't worry, just pay, write a check and we'll solve it for you. I don't think it's that easy, but there's a thought, there's an idea. I'll encourage everyone to investigate further. If anyone is interested, I'm happy to share contacts for these companies that make these machines and whatever they claim the market prices are for, activated carbon, et cetera, et cetera. But where we put, as a company, where we put most emphasis is, like, for maybe 8 years or 9 years, what we thought we are selling is hemp. And we kept going to Expo West in Anaheim and PLMA Chicago and BioFach in Nuremberg, Germany, all of these big trade shows for food. And I know that the hype is fiber now, and I'm saying this Expo West, and half of you are thinking, like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But those of you who are in food will know what's going on. And except for those that were buying 10 years ago, no one new was buying. And we just couldn't get through. Until we started trying to sell hemp as a part of a solution. And a solution, it might have a very broad perspective. I just came back from Dubai, where we are talking to many food distribution companies from India, visiting a trade show called Gulf Food. Huge show, I think, worthy of visit. And to them, a granola bar, a seed bar, is a big thing. If we would be trying to sell it as a hemp bar, because of regulatory hurdles, because of associations with cannabis, etc., I think half of those companies would have left the table if we were selling it as a hemp bar. But if we say a solution is a protein bar, it's vegan, it's has a low carbon footprint, it's plant-based, it has a function of, for example, gut health, enhancement. Oh, by the way, it has hemp in it. If you sell solution over ingredient, it helps to sell. It is a path that we are taking right now. It's not that we don't like hemp. Everything that we do is from hemp. But people seem to like solutions over quizzes. And when you tell them it's hemp, it's a quiz. No one wants to think, they want solutions. As long as they have money, it's our job to take it from them. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you very much, and I agree with you. You should take it from them if they have lots of money. So I think are we up with Spencer next? Okay, Spencer.
All right, this presentation better be good. Well, like I said, the thank yous. And one thing that I was pointing out earlier is that I'm not going to be just talking about food, and I think that it was very important for Skermatis to outline stepping out of the sandbox, and one of the very key components is making that ingredient cheaper. So we're going to kind of cover that a little bit. No idea which button I'm pressing, but we got to the next one. So Blue Sky's vision ultimately is encompassing a global population growth and meeting our climate goals, and that's going to require treating our farmland in a different way. We seem to do a great job at doing a lot more with a lot less. We can put even more people in skyscrapers than we ever thought imaginable today, but we don't seem to be doing as much with our farmland. It's a precious commodity and we need to treat it as such. And that's something that we've been focusing on ever since day one. And, you know, our motto really is, you know, a better world fueled by hemp. And that's not just food. So how do we do this? How do we step back from the traditional harvest it off the farm, send it to the manufacturer, put it on the shelf? Well, there's a number of key issues that we face here. And number one, that's our whole plant utilization. So encompassing different strategies of the entire plant, not just the seed. So I mean, we take this and look back and say, seed is for food, flour is for pharma, and fiber, that's for industrial purpose applications. And many, many others. As it's a hot button topic, we see numerous pharmaceutical and other kinds of things coming up. But what we really want to see is driving hemp to the sustainable acres, you know, at least in the terms of flax acres. And that's going to, you know, require more money down to the farmer, because otherwise they'll grow flax, otherwise they'll grow canola. You know, and Skermatis hit the nail on the head yet again. Improve genetics. So we've been investing in genetics programs for a number of years, and better genetics, increased yields, lower prices. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. I mean, we look at canola. And product innovations. You know, I think we've done a really good job of tricking people into eating unhealthy foods, but I think we need to try to trick people into eating healthy foods. Again, Skermatis said we're selling people this big wall of information. Oh, how good is this? How good is this? We need to take a step back and listen to the consumer. You know, really understand what it is they want. They want a food that's nutritious, but they don't have to think about. And so a lot of our innovations are focused on those types of applications rather than just trying to educate, because I think we've all tried education for the last 20-some years in hemp, and it's not going very well. So, and number 4, strategic partnerships. We all know this is critical. Partnering across the scheme in the hemp population is very helpful. You know, work with many different companies in this room, different people on this platform, in fact. Skermatis buying my ingredients and working with Reg's crew in their feed applications. You know, we are a family of sorts, and we do like to leverage that. So how do we work this whole plant utilization strategy? This whole plant utilization strategy, we like to present it as a biorefinery. And that's ultimately, Blue Sky's sustainable ingredients. That's our food line. That's where we're gonna turn that seed into a healthy product and a nutritious and tasty food for the rest of the world. Then we have the flower, Blue Sky extract. That can be used for CBD extracts, THC, other minor cannabinoids. I don't want to focus too much on that because we are a food panel, but a very important part of this. And then, as we've seen, a lot of the conversation today on fiber. So what we're really doing here is we're trying to show that if we're harvesting just for grain, we're leaving a lot of value behind. And this is something that we've been working on prioritizing the entire time, is developing that cost competitive advantage. We need all of these pieces of the puzzle to make hemp an accurate facsimile to the seed prices that we see on the market. And if we don't, it's gonna continue to be a very expensive product that we can't implement in high enough volumes in food resources today. So Blue Sky Sustainable Ingredients, our food sector, what are we doing going forward? So our current facility, 15,000 square foot, located in Saskatoon, process total of right now about 5,500 tons per year. What we're looking at doing here is we're trying to optimize this facility, and that's inclusions of processing new unique ingredients that we haven't tried. We don't need to be just hemp. We don't need to be one product for the entire company. So that's coming at a great advantage, because what it seems like is a lot of the companies that buy our hemp also want other products, and we want to be able to service that market and increase our overall effectiveness in our manufacturing. So next is getting into a little bit of the innovation, and so we're going to be talking a bit about our protein phase. So we've developed a very unique method of extracting and concentrating hemp protein, and we have finally actually got some very reasonable funding put in place. Agreements haven't been signed. I can't say what it is. I'm sure everybody could take a guess, though. So this phase one is really just a small pilot phase project, and that leads up to what we call the BAG facility, Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. It's a term outlining we need to be looking into the future and driving all of our goals towards that. And that's really a very large facility that's going to be processing at scale. So this is kind of one of the last sections of how we envision getting that hemp price down. Because one of the things I said is, we need to listen to the consumers. And one way we haven't been listening to them is with their dollars. Are they buying these unique, expensive hemp protein concentrates, isolates? Not in droves. What are they buying? They're buying cheap, affordable pea and pulse proteins, something that's not going to drive up their shelf price and not affect their margin. So what we've really focused on developing here is a low-cost hemp protein concentrate solution. And we really think that that's really going to position us well to continue to utilize more and more products and enter more and more product streams. So our extracts portion of the company, again, very, very crucial that we're using as much of the plant as we possibly can. And again, that's extra dollars per acre to the farmer. That's extra dollars per pound off of our product costs. And, all of these things really make a very important push and drive down our costs of production. And one thing we do want to note is that we have really kind of focused on a couple of product expansions and line expansions, but just really in small segments now. Just due to the capital environment, and I mean, you see, everybody's always got a bit of a word about trying to finance a hemp adventure. It's a little challenging. So what we're going to do is we're targeting small and meaningful expansions to each of our product lines, being the extracts and the food. And, you know, it's led out with a small expansion, big in terms of capital cost, but in the terms of things, last year, you know, we did an expansion in the extract sector, and we're really seeing that pay off, and it's really driving it home that we can't sit on our laurels. We need to continue to expand and grow and offer new product development. And then our renewable sector. So this is one of the least developed segments. Currently, we are just only at an engineered designed solution. We don't really have that processing, and that's really where it comes into those strategic partnerships with BCG, with Inca RenewTech. You know, working with these guys to better understand that market, make sure that it's in place and it's the right time, that if we were to execute on this, you know, we would have an opportunity to push through it. And that really is that trifecta that is whole plant utilization for us. And that really ends up giving us that cost competitive advantage that Skermantis was speaking about, is that driving down that cost. So we're going to target that with whole plant utilization, with genetics, strategic partnerships, and of course, obviously, innovations. Yeah, so I mean, one thing we'd like to close out on is, you know, we're really proud to say that we're seeing about 9 months now of positive EBITDA. We really do believe we're probably one of the first sustainable hemp companies out there. And thanks for having me out here.
Hi. I don't have a presentation to show you. However, I do have our journey to share with you in the hemp industry so far. We started about 4 years ago, Alta Green Products, and thank you. So the main crux of our business was in the equine side of things, pet food, human consumption, essential oils, massage oils, and so on and so forth. And then we were also segueing into human consumption. We managed to land national distribution, Western Canadian distribution, and also key accounts across the country. We had Tailblazers, Bones and Biscuits, for instance, on the pest side of things. Sorry, excuse me. You know, one thing we found through the national distributor and the Western Canadian distributor, we were outgrowing the space we were in. We had about 10,000 square feet in the west side of Edmonton, and we had some key partnerships developed in terms of suppliers. I mean, Blue Skies being one of them, and we had our own proprietary hemp olive blend of oil, and basically that was our main formulation that we segued into many different products. So with the demand from the distributors, you know, we found that we were outgrowing our space, A, and B, need for more equipment. And then, you know, the catch-22 comes in where you're looking for funding. So as I think most of us in the room know, what we ran into consistently was we were clumped in with the cannabis playing field. So no matter what our story was, no matter what our products were, no matter what we proved out to everybody, that's one barrier we could not manage to break. And, you know, slowly, you know, I think there's positive signs for our industry. Things are turning. People are starting to understand. Markets are slowly starting to open up. Investors are starting to kind of, you know, take a second look away from the cannabis perspective. So those are all positives. However, what we did, we decided to, you know, do a paradigm shift altogether. We have formulations, our own IP, in the poultry side of things, swine, cattle, pets, and also fish. So we're working right now with the U of A hand in hand for the last year, and we're almost on a testing phase where they will do all the live testing on the birds for us. And once that's done, we will also have engaged CFIA, and they're very positive in what we're doing. They said, I think what we present is something very unique from the hemp industry that they've seen so far. In the meantime, I'm more on the BD side of things, and JVs and licensing and stuff, so not on the science side of things. Having said that, we have been talking to growers in South Africa, Mexico, US, Canada, and it's been positive. The response has been very positive. I think once the testing is done, once we get CFIA on board, then we can move forward and use that as a stepping stone to different countries, albeit we'll have to deal with their rules and regulations, but I think it makes the mountain a lot easier to climb once you have that in your back pocket. So basically what our protein concentrate does, it's a mix to the feed for the poultry. And what we've found so far is, to get a bird to market, optimum weight is 2.5 kgs, and so we've achieved that target. The growing cycle is shortened by 4 to 6 days, which is big for a producer. And also mortality rate on average, from what we've seen has gone down from 2.5% to 1.5%. And also the big key is you're using less feed, 22 to 25% less feed by using this concentrate that we have. So, we're hoping to basically, attack different markets using our hemp protein formula. So that's where all our efforts are right now, and things are looking good so far. Thank you.
All right. So we're ahead of schedule, and I am going to open it up for questions. So please, if you have any questions, come to the mic. But while you're thinking of your questions, I've got a question for the panel. Certainly the food industry is, especially consumers are seeing, food inflation. Food sustainability is a huge issue for going on. And in terms of the consumer and consumer awareness, how or what do you think is needed to really promote hemp to the consumer, and how would you see that? How would you see increasing the knowledge of the consumer about the hemp and its benefits to really grow this category in a very, very, very competitive market? I don't know who wants to take that.
Check. So I did have a bit of opinion on this in my presentation, and I think it's a little bit about leaning away from the education and forcing the hemp on the person, and really getting back one step, one tier back to the manufacturer, and presenting them with the solution and allowing them to continue with their consumer base, but with hemp. I think that's very important because we don't like change as human beings. We like to do the same things. We like to eat the same things. So when somebody tells you that this green oil is going to change your life and you're going to grow 6 inches taller, you're going to be able to jump over tall buildings, even if that were true, I don't know if people would really bite. And I think what we need to do is we need to introduce a soft launch, so to speak, of hemp, something that is easily digestible by the populace, and then essentially, pull the curtain off and say, well, you know what, that was hemp all along. Because at the end of the day, I think that's the most important part, is the nutritious factors of hemp are true. It's there. They're rich in micronutrients. They're rich in proteins, globular proteins, which are unique. So, I mean, we really need to think about it like that, that let the hemp do the talking itself in the markets that already exist, you know, granola bars, plant-based milks, and so on and so forth. And I mean, that's one of the things we believe is going to push us into the future is through innovation. And that was basically speaking, one of our most recent product launches would be a refined hemp seed oil, something that you're able to cook with on a day-to-day basis, remove some of that color issue, taste issue profiles, stability profile issues that you see on a day-to-day basis. So rather than, you know, maybe having a canola oil jug sitting beside your stove when you're doing your cooking or your baking, or any other vegetable oil for that matter on a day-to-day basis, you can use something that's rich in omega-3, 6, 9 fatty acids. And there's no sacrifice for it. And I think that's what we need to come to conclusion is that we can't be asking consumers to make a sacrifice, because I think we've proven that they won't. And we need to meet them in the middle of the road rather than try to drag them across it, so to speak.
Anybody else?
Thanks. I could not agree more. Just a couple fresh thoughts in terms of product over ingredient. My colleagues are currently still at this trade show in Dubai called Gulf Food. And I'm thinking that legally, if we were there as a hemp company, they would have arrested us.
Right.
So the amount of time and energy and money all of us have can either be spent fighting idiots who want to arrest people because of hemp, or we can go as a solution company, you know, as a protein bar company, as a whatever. Of course we had hemp with us, but we didn't make a big deal out of it. And we met so many potential customers. Just an actual, this week's, you know, experience I'm sharing with you guys. Another somewhat recent experience, there's this company, I hope they will not be mad for me mentioning their name, it's called Hemp Foods Japan. Been buying hemp from us maybe for 2 to 3 years until they reach, I guess, a certain threshold in their local bank in Japan, and maybe they switched from small business unit to, I don't know, commercial banking, whatever that, however that works in Japan, I don't know. Maybe account manager change. Because they emphasize that name hemp so much, well, at least that's what they say. They couldn't pay us for maybe 2 or 3 shipments for six months because their bank account was on hold and they couldn't open a new bank account because, you know, the banks talk to one another. So bank accounts get closed because you say hemp too much. Am I saying here that we need to give up? No, but let's be smart about it. The point is not to win over something, not to break someone's back. The point is, it's business. Let's make business, not politics. Thank you.
My thoughts on that question are more sort of in terms of the marketing branding side of our business. I think, you know, I see the industry getting tighter and tighter. Companies are now starting to, you can see, you know, the distance and the growth of companies that are really starting to take next steps, higher steps. However, what I want to segue back to is that I think as an industry, we need to create a branding solution and a common message that will make hemp products, food, more everyday acceptable, and basically it says branding, and I think we need to do it as an industry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know if this is live? I don't know whether this is naive or not, but I'm going to throw it out anyway. We have a world crisis in healthcare. Rising diabetes, it's a worldwide phenomenon. We've got healthcare or heart issues that are massive. Why don't you have doctors on the stage? You're selling maybe the wrong thing. Why sell food? Why not sell this as a health product? That's a massive market, and it's growing rapidly, and it's as significant as climate change when you talk about the impact on our society.
And we're also an aging population that...
No, we're not.
Not you, just myself personally, I'm speaking. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're only as old as you feel, right? So, I mean, I think that's a great viewpoint. I do think that if a lot of these issues are correctable from a dietary standpoint, that we may have already failed. And that's where I take the stance that we've educated people. Everyone knows that omega fatty acids are helpful with reducing cholesterol. You Google that, you'll find 1,000 ads. But do you see people, breaking down the doors at Whole Foods? Not so much. And I think what we need to do is, again, take a step back and, sad to say, trick the people a little bit. I think we've done an excellent job with food science in tricking our bodies with artificial sweeteners, with extruded products that melt in your mouth, with unique ways of serving people food. And I think we've got to turn the tables a little bit, and let's do this in a healthy way. Let's trick people into being healthy, not trick them into eating garbage.
So something I've heard from this whole panel is just sometimes the stigma that is attached to your marketing or your banking or anything when you say the word hemp. And I know even from Inca's standpoint, when we first started, we had to switch banks because compliance got nervous. And if you look at how the product is marketed and the words that are used, and I think it was Jamie from Verve Seeds a night or two ago came up with this idea. Canola was never called canola, it was called rapeseed. And they tweaked a couple of things here or there, and that launched a whole new era of that product that didn't have anything dragging behind it. And I think collectively in this room, we should maybe all start thinking about, and this kind of goes back to also with the Alberta Hemp Alliance is gonna, we're going down the road to forming a commission now. That'll probably take us 1.5 years, 2 years. But that's something we should start thinking collectively as an industry here in Alberta. What could we call this? It doesn't have to be called hemp. We can work some things in the lab on the genetics and create something else. You know where I'm going with this. And we're not tricking our customers, but we're just marketing this in a new way, in a different way. So I'll just put that to the room, and everybody put your heads together and see if we can come up with a great name.
I agree. Anybody have some thoughts?
No, that's what I was referring to as collectively branding, right?
No, fantastic. I mean, I 100% agree. And correlating it to canola is a very interesting rebrand story that sure as heck worked. But it all required very efficient and effective geneticists. Let's be real here. So that's why genetics is such an important part, is because we need to differentiate ourselves so much so from hemp that it's worthy of a new name.
So actually, it was Corey that came up with that. Sorry, Corey. But it's a guy like Jamie and the team at Verve Seeds who would do that genetics work to cause us to be able to call it something else.
Just a little comment to that. My dad was one of the first two to ever grow rapeseed in Western Canada. Also the first one to ever grow the first variety of canola in Canada. So a different oil makeup. I was one of the first growers to ever grow hemp in Western Canada, or in Canada. And then I started working with a company called Consolidated Growers and Processors. During that time, and it's too bad some of the older guys aren't here, like Sean Crew and Mike Fetta and those guys. But during that time, there was a Air Force pilot in the United States that got tested, random test, and was positive for THC. Guess what he ate? Hemp. He said he'd eat a lot of hemp. At that time then, they closed the border down. There was a couple of businesses that were lost. And we thought of the same idea of changing the name to canola or to hemp into something else. The United States government at that time said, if you guys change the name of hemp, you'll never get legalized. Just saying. I'll finish that story. Yeah.
And I do have a point on that too. In that, you know, I've spoken with FDA and CFIA about this, and that's a very excellent point. You know, if you change this name, that has a varying impact on the grass status, something that Manitoba Harvest has done a terrific job in championing. If they were to go back and retable this, and this came right from an FDA delegate in a round table that I was sitting at, if we were to go back to the table with hemp and try to reapply for grass status, they want zero THC, non-detect, not this 10 parts per million, and they sure as heck aren't going to move it up. So a very unique challenge that, you know, we really have to kind of shoehorn ourselves into and, so to speak, lay in the bed that we've made. Because I think the playground's only so big on this one, and maybe we can't redefine our way out of it, but I like to think that we still could.
Just a very quick note. I really liked the idea about our comment about, you know, our as societies, our health is going, you know, down the drain. I agree. I think cardiovascular health issues is #1 cause of death, at least in the Western world. For sure, you know, it is in my home country, Lithuania, because all men drink and smoke and or die of war. So yeah, active lives. From business perspective, we started experimenting with adding a function to a food product. An example, we launched recently a granola bar because we added ginger fiber, enough ginger fiber to it, and ginger is scientifically proven to help with gastrointestinal tract, you know, health. Okay, so we consulted some food regulation agencies, and they let us add gut health as a function on the bar. In brand, whoever is familiar with marketing, you know, you can have a hierarchy, and we placed it as #1, more important than brand, way more important than hemp. I'm sorry, don't shoot me. Important than our brand, you know, whatever. Gut health bar. In Nuremberg, in Germany, gut means good. So it was really funny trade show because it basically said good lover and on a protein bar. Where I'm going is this: identifying pain points, and the comment was brilliant. There are many markets, like Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, I've been mentioning this, where we were standing, working at the show, and when someone who has no idea who we are, of course, because you know, we were there for the first time, comes and says, like, what the hell is this? This was the value when you say, okay, what is the value proposition? Is this? Yes, low sugar, low glycemic index. Many of our products are keto certified. Why? Because in that market, the pain point is diabetes. Sugar is their pain point. So you adopt to the market needs. Before, maybe a month ago, there was a trade show in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta, called a Mexican Healthy Food Summit, I think. By the way, very good show. Everyone attending the show are category buyers, no random people. For your thoughts, really good show. A market of 120 million. Again, same, extremely high diabetes in Mexico. Obesity is a huge thing. And while at that show, there was a distributor or like a brand consolidator maybe, active in Panama, Mexico, and Colombia. What they told me, because we started the conversation, what is this gut health? Because we have protein bars that says slimming on it, all kind of stuff. We are quite aggressive in marketing these days. They said that another interesting pain point that a new food brand could attach, could trace is beauty. There are countries in the world where they spend more on plastic surgery than on bread, I guess, per year. Like Brazil, like Colombia. And in Colombia, that company that I talked to, they particularly emphasize food for beauty, right? But Brazil, according to him, I have never been to Brazil. I don't know, I just heard this, has even, it's 10 times that. So what I'm getting is this. Maybe we need to start educating ourselves how to identify market pain points and come up with at least semi-cooked solutions. And this is how money is made, some people think. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Thanks, Ken. Just had a comment about the topic of changing the name. I think this is the 43rd time that conversation has come up since I've been in the industry. We've kicked that around so many ways. And we often come back to this canola story. And Paul, you mentioned a kind of a couple of tweaks genetically. The canola change was more than a couple of tweaks. It was, yeah, but I mean, it was a significant difference. No, but it's a valid point, because if you don't change something that's bad about it to something good about it, you're really not adding value. With yeah. Yeah. It has, and I mean, with canola, it was a uric acid issue, and they got rid of that, and that made a really, really big difference in terms of the plant itself. And with hemp, there's maybe not an area where you say, oh, it needs to be improved, or this is a bad thing about it. That's a good thing for hemp. I really like the branding thing. I think that's probably a good, solid, direction to go. And Spencer, your point about grass status is critical. That you reinvent the thing, you've got to go back and do all that stuff over again, right? And so, it's an important discussion, and I think that, somehow we need to get past that. I will say that, when we talk to General Foods about why aren't you making a hemp cereal, and they would say because nobody's asking us for it. The consumer isn't asking us for that. And so the consumer drives the show in a lot of these instances. So sometimes getting to the middleman, he'll push it off to somebody else to make the decision. And so that's been a challenge for us as well. So there's, we've gone down these roads many, many ways. But, I like the old got milk or the other white meat or those kinds of brand things that, stick in your head and all of a sudden change your perspective on something that, it sits in your head, but it makes a difference. So, that's where my vote would go, I think, in this whole conversation.
Let me add my 2 cents worth in here just a second. The reason I raised healthcare is because, associated with branding, is it is a huge issue. I mean, we have a world that is well aware that the death rates from diabetes and heart disease are massive, and they're growing. So if branding is what we want to do, then begin to tie hemp or whatever you want to call it to that industry and present it as a nutraceutical, because the world is craving for something that is easy to consume, that has no negatives currently associated with it. So I think you're on the right track, but I think we need to be brave about it and take a stand.
And you do see that if you actually look in the grocery stores, and I think a number of All Live brands, the cutout and the picture panel showing into, say, like shelled hemp will oftentimes be in the shape of a heart, and it is trying to embolden that kind of effect, is just link it together subconsciously, and I mean that's a win.
Well, then your doctors become your advocates. Instead of appealing to the consumer, you're appealing to the distributor, which is the doctor.
Yeah.
Which the pharmaceutical companies won't like. But anyhow, and who runs? Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. This is a really great segue I'm just going to announce that when we talk about different oil profiles for hemp, we have a high oleic oil now, and we started with a breeder plot 2 years ago, and then we had 5 acres of breeder plots this year, and then about 14 acres of foundation. We took that foundation seed and we've crushed it. Actually, just this week, we did the crush on it, and we're going to be sending it out for testing and whatnot too. So,
That's good news. Yeah.
What would be your target oleic, by the way? Oh,
Hi.
didn't catch him.
I'd just like to throw up a bit of a caution flag. I'm no geneticist, I understand that. But people don't understand when you change the genetics of something, right off the bat they go, genetically modified, holy shit. It's no good, it's absolutely no good. So we have to be very careful on your branding that it's breeding, not genetically changing it. I mean, those are simple words that make all the difference in the world on the store shelf. One idea on your hemp parts, you said, I've seen them in the store too. I've bought them. The things have been on the shelf for 3 months. It's a fresh product. It's sitting there. It should be in the refrigerator. Like, who wants to eat, oh, this is so healthy, but you eat it, it's like rotten walnuts. Like, you know, I mean, when it's a fresh product, and it should be treated like that. And then that's why the stores don't want to carry it anymore. Like, a lot of them have dropped it. Anyway, that's just one comment.
All right. So, so I wouldn't be a good government employee if I didn't ask. So in terms of what additional supports, or is there any technology that that would really help grow your industry? Is there any something additional that you would like? We're investing in a plant fractionation suite in Leduc, for instance. But is there something else that you need that would really help from a support wise or from a technology wise that would really help advance the industry or grow the industry?
One thing I'd really love to see, is this working anymore? Yeah, there we go. One thing I'd really love to see, and I mean, this is available throughout, and I mean, most food development centers have some offerings in this respect, but a little more government support, maybe I want to say, but a little more funding on the analytical side of food development. Something that's overlooked, you know, time and time again is just, you know, your shelf life stabilities, the 72 different protein tests you need to do on a 3-piece fractionation run, you know, particle size distribution, you know, those all cost, you know, $50, $75 a pop on the low end for small things, but man, do they add up. And I really think that if there was really that backstop of just lab services, government funded for approved projects, something, I feel like it would fit really well with like an NRC IRAP kind of funding sort of thing. You go in there, you get approved, this is my product, okay, there you go, you're covered. I would like to say I couldn't imagine how many new products and how much new development would kind of work its way out of the woodworks in that respect. Now, something that I've kind of thought about for a long time, being a couple of years back in product development, and I mean most of my life, that's a big hit on the budget, and sometimes, you know, the budget's too much and you just don't progress with the product. And it might have been a showstopper, you know, it might have been a game changer, but a few grand could have pushed it over the edge, you know, and just turned enough heads away. And you know, we need less of that, not more.
I did mention that I'm not raising money, but since you asked, since the government asked, right? Of course it's money. What else? What else could I say? But maybe before maybe we announce some grants, but before announcing those grants, we kind of know what we're going to do with that or what we want to achieve precisely. Mm-hmm. How about that? Maybe we announce a grant that, you know, Jeff and Jan, Dr. Jan Slasky, together would win and really, really come up with proper hemp hybrid. First grant. Second, a grant that, you know, Manitoba Harvest, Blue Sky, Olive, Super Nutrition, other hemp food companies, local companies, would collectively use to jump on a plane and spend a week in China and another week in Japan on a proper trade tour, talking not to random people who come to a booth, but actually to category buyers on a retail level who would be well briefed who's coming and why, where the goal is not to go to a trade show, but the goal is to sell. And a third grant, R&D. It is very hard I have to make these decisions quite often, and I often have to constrain myself. It is very hard to invest in a new product development or a process development or whatever R&D, because probability of success is super low, realistically speaking. But if there were grants that, since you asked, right? So I'm dreaming here. Say 75% of costs of new product development would be compensated as long as the industry comes up with a project together, not an individual company, but together. And then we, I don't know, $2 or $3 million, I promise you we're going to come up with such products, it will blow away the market. And maybe not necessarily United States. I'm getting tired of competing against, Manitoba, good guys in a market that is oversaturated, being United States. Let's go to China. Let's show how it's done there.
Perfect. All right, I see that, I think if there's no other questions, all right, seeing none, I would just like to say thank you to our panel. Thank you, Reg, for helping us today. Appreciate all the excellent comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.